Hi, I'm Patty.
And I'm Linda, and today we're here to talk about our top 5 stabilizers.
Yes, so there's all different types of stabilizers out there, and we want to make sure you guys know which ones are the best to use for different types of projects.
So whether you're brand new to embroidery or you've been doing it for a long time, these are the type of stabilizers that you want to make sure you have on hand every day.
Yeah, so we're going to start off over here with probably one of the most basics, which is going to be our Tearaway stabilizers. And I'm going to let you hold the Tearaway Soft since that's your favorite, and I'm going to hold the Tearaway Firm. So I like to use Tearaway Firm, and we have some little samples here, and we'll show you why in just a second.
Yeah, and I like to use Tearaway Soft because it's got a little hidden secret to it.
Yeah, so Tearaway Firm, I do a lot of embroidery for other people, so I like to use this because it does just what it kind of sounds like. It tears away firm, and it tears away really nice and clean. So I love the way that I can just do my embroidery, and when I'm done, tear it away.
I like that stabilizer too, Patty, but what I really like about Tearaway Soft is that when you're finished doing embroidery and you don't need any more of that stabilizer there, if you take an iron and put it on there and get it heated up a little bit, it'll actually perforate away and you won't have any excess left over. That's a little tip.
Yeah, and it is, and that is really nice. It's a little bit heavier. It always kind of goes backwards with firm. I always think is going to be heavier, and soft is going to be lighter, but it's actually the opposite.
Yeah, and so these can be used kind of intermittently, but one or the other is a great one to have on hand.
Yeah, and I just brought this one in as well. This is what we call a rinse away, tear away. So if you're doing things like towels or projects that you're actually going to wash or that you can launder, this is a great one as well, because once you're done, you tear it away, and then once you wash it, all the rest of it goes away.
So no matter what, make sure that you have at least one Tearaway product on hand, and that is our favorite stabilizer number 1. What's number 2?
So next is going to be a Cutaway stabilizer. So we have both a no-show mesh without fusible.
And this is no-show mesh with fusible, which is the one that I always make sure that I have on hand.
Right, and so this is great. And what is nice is, like, if you wanted to stabilize a knit t-shirt or some sort of project, the fusible one is really nice because it does. It adheres to the back, you press it onto the back, and it's going to give your fabric extra stability.
Right, and the nice part about the fusible as well is that if you have knit fabric and you want to embroider on it, it's really a good idea to fuse this completely on the back of your project. After your embroidery is done, you can just lift up the excess and trim around it. You always want to leave just a little bit. Another little tip, and Patty, you're holding my favorite, which is the nude color.
Yes.
I love nude because when you put a nude color behind something that's white, it doesn't make it ultra white, which is why sometimes if you've got white stabilizer behind a white t-shirt, you're really going to see that you've got a big old patch of white.
Right, so it comes available in white and in the nude, and then also in black. So again, depending on what you're embroidering on. And I love it because it stays with your embroidery. So after you wash it, it's still going to stay into your garment.
Right, which is important because you need that stability all the time. The other important thing to note is that if you do use a fusible stabilizer, you can, on knit fabric, actually put this in the hoop, meaning that you could lay it down and sandwich your fabric in between the 2 hoops, which is a good idea for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Get your design where you want it to go.
Yeah, so this one is probably a newer product in our line, and this is the Ultra Soft Fusible. And I feel like everyone is really using their embroidery machines now as quilting machines, right? And they're using decorative fills, they're using quilting patterns, quilting designs, and being able to quilt their projects. And so this is the Ultra Soft Fusible. And so it almost is like a really, really light flannel, but it has that same fusible feel to it. So what's nice about that is that you can press it on the back of your fabric before you hoop it, and it's going to give you almost a quilted texture.
Yeah, I love it for that. And it does give a lot of body, especially if you're making your own bags, or maybe you're making a Christmas tree skirt and you want to do embroidery all the way around. What's really nice about this, especially if you buy it in this big wide roll, is that you can interface your whole project before you start to embroider, and now you can embroider with wild abandon. And so we're already up to number 3, and I have to say, this is one of the favorites of the Baby Lock education team as well. All right, number 4.
All right, number 4, this is our Stick Tear Tearaway. So A lot of people struggle with hooping things. Sometimes projects are too hard to hoop, like a towel, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's too thick, you can't put it in the hoop.
Yeah, so we tend to do what we call floating. And so floating is basically you hoop your stabilizer and then you float your project on top of it. And stick tear
I'm
really
going to demonstrate,
sure,
okay?
For sure.
So here we have our Stick Tear Tearaway, and what you're going to notice is I'm just going to lift this up right here, and you're going to see that this is actually in 2 layers. So when you hoop this, you want to make sure that you're putting it in so that the release paper is facing up and that the tearaway part stays on the bottom. And what I like to do is take my pin and I'm just going to score around the inside. And you may have actually seen people do this before. Once you've done it, make a little X because it's a lot easier. And then all you have to do is use your fingernail, or you could actually use a part of the pin itself, and it'll allow you to just kind of lift up and reveal that sticky paper. And what this does then is it allows you to actually take the project that you're going to be embroidering, stick it on top, and then it's going to move at the same time that your hoop is moving with your embroidery machine. And that's the key buzzword that people always say, hoopless embroidery. And when I was first starting, I thought, you can embroider without a hoop? That's crazy talk. What are you talking about? This is what they're talking about.
And then it just tears away nice and clean when you're all said and done.
I want to finish picking it all off.
You do.
I won't.
And a lot of people too will leave this in the hoop and they'll cut smaller pieces and kind of just fill in the gaps too.
Yeah, you can patch it.
Yeah, you can patch it.
So that's one of those, like, after you've been spending a lot of money on stabilizer, you're like, how can I get the most out of this piece? We got tips.
Yeah, that's
all right.
awesome.
So that's number 4.
That's number 4. Number 5 is more of a topping than it is per se a stabilizer. So there's all different types of topping, and these are things that you would use with things that have loft. So terry cloth towels, minky blankets, anything like that that has a lot of loft to it or a pile to it. You want to make sure that as you're doing your embroidery that your stitches don't get lost in that. So here's an example here where we did a bib, a little terry cloth bib. And so we used our Tearaway stabilizer and then we put the topping on top, and it just really helps to get your stitches nice.
Right, and you got actually a couple options as well. So not only do we have the traditional hydro melt, water melt, that means that once you're finished, you can toss something in the washing machine, all the excess is going to dissolve away, and when you feel it, it's actually kind of clear. Now, crazy, but I've actually seen some people grab saran wrap.
No.
Do not do that. Once you throw the item in the dryer, it is going to be a shriveled mess. So this is not one of those things that you can fake it, right? So definitely something that washes away. But in the instance of something that you don't want to launder, for example, I love to give hand embroidered towels. I call this hand embroidered because I did it on my machine by hand. But if you give it to somebody as a wedding gift, you don't want to wash it after you've done the embroidery. Instead, use this press away topping. It looks like this. And what happens when you're finished doing the embroidery? Put your iron on it.
Right. You just kind of work your iron in the little circular motions and it all beads up and then it just disappears.
Yeah, so it's really very nice. So I'm a picker, which means that, like, I have a tendency whenever there's excess, I'll try to, like, get it all out, which you can actually run your towel, so you don't want to do that. But okay, 5. I couldn't stop at 5.
No,
we have a bonus round.
We do, and this is
the
probably
secret 6.
Yeah, so this is probably one that you use a lot, and I know I've used it quite a bit too in different projects and things like that. But
so here we go.
Linda's been making a lot of lace elements lately. So this is our Dissolvable mesh, and I love this product. I really, really do. I think it just is such a good job of really dissolving away, which is what you want it to do in the end.
Right. Now, some brands of stabilizer will take a product like this Dissolvable mesh and they'll actually make it a lot thicker. But what I've noticed is that the amount of glue that's then in that thick piece of Dissolvable product, it takes forever to wash it out of something. That's where this guy comes in. So this product is actually a mesh. It's not as thick, and in fact, it offers really good stability with embroidery.
Yeah, because you can actually stitch right on that stabilizer, or you maybe layer it with some tulle or some like organza. So here's just a sample that we had that is some organza that we actually layered it with the Dissolvable mesh, stitched just a decorative fill from the Solaris on it, and we turned that into fabric and then became an applique.
Yeah, that's really crazy cool. Yeah. And the other thing that I've been doing is Xandra Shaw, who's one of my favorite embroidery digitizers, has done a whole series of freestanding floral elements, and I made this very cute dress for my daughter. All of it stitched just directly on the Dissolvable mesh. So if you're looking for a big impact and you want to do embroidery that really stands out, definitely take a look at these types of stabilizers, because what this one in particular will do is it'll give you the ability to add dimension to your embroidery, and you'll look like a real pro.
Yeah, so lastly, I just want to kind of bring this up. This is really cool. The last few years, we've actually put together, Baby Luxe put together some really great starter packs.
Yeah, I love the fact that what they do is they identify what kind of an embroiderer you are. So if you're looking for a starter kit, or if you're looking for the ultimate gift, we've got 3 different types. Your Baby Lock retailer is going to know which one to hook you up with, but definitely be taking into consideration how big your largest embroidery hoop is. If you've got one of the bigger machines, definitely get this 20-inch roll.
Yeah.
And if it's a smaller machine, you can still use this size. You just get more, you can use your rotary cutter and cut it
I
to
use
fit.
this for my multi-needles, so I will use this, cut it into strips, and I can either get 2 5x7s or 4 or 3 for my 4x4. So it works out really great.
Yep, I love it.
Yeah.
This is a great conversation. So if you're doing embroidery, make sure that you at least have these 5, maybe 6 different stabilizers on hand.
And I would always say, don't be afraid to try a new stabilizer. There's always new things that come out in the market, or maybe your type of embroidery that you're doing is changing, and the stabilizer you're using is maybe not the right one.
That's
So
right.
Don't
But
be
I don't
afraid
want,
to try.
and I don't want to be held up from doing a project because I didn't have the right stuff on hand. So make sure that you're visiting your local Baby Lock retailer so you can take some of the stabilizer home for yourself.
Yep. And for more inspiration, be sure to check out babylock.com.
See you soon.